Nothing irritates me more than ignorant people. People are not able to actually see the context of the facts of what is actually in front of them. They would choose to ignore them consciously or subconsciously, and they are just nothing but ignorant.
Force used against them.
Hold on, wait, rewind back to what you said. Black people are what?
10 to 20% more likely.
So like, which means white people are less likely than black people. So what do you call that? That's privilege.
Oh yeah, but no.
That's what the question is. The question is there black privilege? So that's what we're trying to answer. But the statement about there being white privilege, you just proved it yourself. There is such thing as white privilege.
That doesn't mean white privilege. In the same way.
The way you're looking at it, how easy it is, you're looking at it from where you're sitting, from your position. There are people in these places who this is all they know. Like you know.
Hey guys, it's Maradi. Hope you guys are all doing well today. So yes, many of you guys have been asking me to review Chit Dublin and so forth. I've watched some of the episodes here and there. I'm only choosing to review this episode because this particular topic is important to me. I have had discussions with people myself earlier this week which pertains to this topic. So that is the main reason as to why I am reviewing the show. I might not review it next week, the week before. I just want to review it now to also not only get the reception from you guys and whether you guys want me to review it and continue, but also because I do have an affinity with this particular topic because I was discussing it earlier this week with people that I know of. So first and foremost, I do like the show. I feel like it's a cool show. That, you know, they've got a mixed group of people, which is quite cool in relation to the fact that the girls and boys are mixed together and they're sitting across the room and so forth, which is a similar construction when it comes to these debate shows. And I don't understand why the intro is 2 hours long. Like, that's the one thing that irritates me. I don't know why the introduction is so damn long. Make it 30 seconds. Finish that off, get the topic ASAP, because people will get bored, they don't have time for it, they're done. So in my opinion, in terms of some constructive advice, that introduction is way too long. We don't have time to be seeing you guys slow motion, smiling and so forth. Show your faces, quick flash, boom, next person, boom, next person, and then go straight to the debate, because we don't have time. People have lives, people think of things to do, they don't want to see that, they'll lose interest, you'll lose viewers, gone. So that's just my form of constructive advice. You can choose to take that or not. But I do want to get into this because I do feel like a lot of people on that show were either ignorant or were not able to help to clear out and coherently counteract certain problems. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember the people's names simply because it was my first time watching it and I kind of skipped the intro because it was way too long. And we have these, not that I'm trying to point them out for being on the races, but we have these two white guys who unfortunately were very ignorant.
No, you were saying that the reason for the higher crime rate in the black community is that...
Because they're in the ghetto.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why do they not get out of the ghetto by finishing school, getting a job, and not having kids?
It's not that easy, especially.
I feel like they were simply playing across their stereotype of ignorant white male, which is just annoying, and they were simply saying, you know, they're in the ghetto, they can get out of the ghetto, they can go to the high school, you know, they don't finish high school, why don't they finish high school? They're simply looking at the surface of what the problem appears to be, rather than digging deep to understand why. Now, this type of topic, when people have to raise it, you have to bring in statistical evidence in order to support your argument. You can't just say this is this and this is why, or people have white privilege, people have black privilege. You have to come in with some form of factual information to support you so that nobody can argue against it. And if people are arguing against facts, then they are simply ignorant.
The thing is, you've been talking about facts and statistics, so I want to hear the facts and statistics.
Because of the claim, which is true. That's.
Well, I want to hear the numbers. That you're saying that black people are accepted easier,
The number
it's an accent. It's
130 points.
Where's your statistics? Where's your facts to prove that it's because they're black?
But
like now you're saying that's
I did my research, I read a lot of reports and files this morning and so forth, and it's evident to see that in 2001, black children were 4 times more likely to be incarcerated than white kids. In 2015, that is 5 times more likely. What is the reason for why a certain colour of people, such as black, are incarcerated far more times likely than somebody who is white, somebody who's black, somebody who's white? Why are they incarcerated more than white? Like, what is the reason? Upon viewing these two people, one is incarcerated less, one is incarcerated more. So that's just me touching on certain facts. And the problem begins with police activity, it seems. Black youth for drug crimes were arrested more, twice the rate of white youth between 1980 and 2010. Yet another study in 2012 found that white high school students were slightly more likely to have been abusing illegal drugs within the past month. But blacks here are far more likely to be arrested than whites, even though other studies have supported it, saying that whites are more likely to use these drugs. So if they're more likely to use these drugs, why is another group of people being arrested far more? You know, that what is the actual reason? Is because is there a certain privilege that is surrounding them, that is looming over them, that allows them and gives them time off, that doesn't give them a harsher judgment as opposed to people who are doing it as more. So you have one group doing it far more, but they don't get treated for it as much. One group doesn't do it as much and they're getting treated for it as more. So, you know, you have two different groups. What's going on? Now, before I continue with these facts, it's very easy. It's very, very easy for people to think, oh my god, there's two groups that we have to fight, one against one, let's fight together. No, nobody's fighting against. The only reason I'm stating as blacks cause white, simply because just that's how easy to categorize them to when talking about this. I'm not trying to build a divide between these two, because there should not be a divide between people, period, full stop. There shouldn't be a divide between people. But the reason I'm saying that is because this is how I'm trying to simply explain it to the viewers, to my subscribers and so forth. I'm not trying to create a divide between two people. I'm not trying to say I dislike one and I like one. That's nonsense. Everybody is equal within my eyes. The reason why I'm stating it via colour is simply because that's just how I'm trying to explain the problem, so it can be easier for people to understand and simply is more coherent and fluid for people to understand and build that bridge. That is the only reason. I'm not intending to create a divide between people at all. I thought I'd just make that very clear before I continue my statistics. Blacks are far more likely than whites to be stopped by the police whilst driving. The Sentencing Project reports largely attributes to the racial disparities in both traffic and drug arrests to implicit racial bias on part of the police. Since the nature of law enforcement frequently requires police officers to make snap judgments about the danger posed by suspects, snap judgments, and the criminal nature of the activity, subconscious racial associations influence the way officers perform their jobs. Therefore, that which can be enhanced by social media, could be enhanced by media, newspapers, films, angry stereotypes. Therefore, because they use snap judgments, their subconscious racial associations are instantly used for certain groups of people, such as black people, as opposed to white. That in itself is a privilege attained to white people. How these people on Chit Dublin are able to see this, I don't understand. I feel like they were very ignorant. They weren't looking at the entire problem, the premise of it. They were simply looking at the surface and saying, well, they're just in the gutter. Like, why are they in the gutter? Maybe if you do your research, for example, that the CIA evidently leaked a lot of drugs in particular neighborhoods that were of black people to try and ridicule them as opposed to other people, which lead them to be in a ghetto neighborhood. Maybe because they're brought into a ghetto neighborhood, and that is how the system is going to portray them. Have you not heard of corporate forms of racism, environmental forms of racism, institutional forms of racism? Like, come off it. I feel like these people are not able to actually understand what's going on because they have not done their research. They're simply looking at it as simple A and B, and it's not like that. There are plenty of complexities ingrained within societies, within institutional systems such as this, which is obviously explaining the police systems, the racial systems, the court systems, that all have a racial drought over it, especially towards black people more than anything. And I just find it and the fact that you can't even understand that, let alone know that it's going on, means you're most definitely ignorant. I just don't understand how it's going on. I had this conversation with people before, and it did kind of irritate me with some people, and some people were obviously agreeing to it. And now we have, and I just saw this now. I was on my YouTube on my phone, just as soon as you wake up, you're on your phone, and I saw Chit Dublin, black privilege. Okay, what's this about? Everybody has a privilege regarding race. I might have privilege for being Arab. Privilege, like when I go to certain areas, people just think I am loaded, like I'm rich, that stereotype, and therefore they show me more respect. Therefore, when I go on holiday, they show me more respect. That they want to cater to me far more because they know that I have money and so forth. Because they're falling for that rich, typical Arab stereotype. Exactly. There's a stereotype for every single being. It just happens. We naturally want to organize and label people. It's going to happen regardless. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it's okay for some people as well. So I feel like that's why these two people irritate me, because they weren't able to understand what's going on. They have this simple mindset in their head. They think everything is fine and absolutely cool, and these people in the corner are the way they are because that's just what they choose to do. They don't want to get a good education. They don't have you not heard of corporate racism?
Now actually, you need to do 3 things to not be in poverty. You finish school, you find a job, and you don't have a kid before you're married.
What about
Is
people
that difficult?
What about people who do all them 3 things and still?
Well, then they're out of poverty. That's been proven. by people that support
Black
people in America are at a bit of a disadvantage. That is true. That one I could agree with.
Not necessarily.
Well, then what's
Like, come off it. Have you know? I've read tweets and I've spoken to people. There was a story about a black lady who was doing work, and in one part of the office, the other part of the office was divided, and there were interviews going on there, and the people interviewing them, the black person and the white person, they interviewed both of them. The interview people were then concluding it without them being there, and bear in mind the room was divided, so they didn't know that a black woman was literally there doing her work and so forth, and they said that they're going to give the black person far less than the white person simply because that's just that's what they feel like they're doing. Direct corporate racism. They're giving somebody of a different colour less pay than colours, less pay than to someone else. So why is that the case? Because of people's colours. Therefore, because the person is white, it's a privilege. It's called white privilege. How the fact that you cannot actually understand that, it really does irritate me to the point where I had to make this video, because I feel like you're just very delusional, most definitely, number one, and number two, you are far from intellectual, because as far as I'm concerned, that I can pull out what I've just pulled out to you in terms of facts and statistics. That's just 3 out of a million. Don't piss me off, because I can pull out every single little statistic if I want to. I can make this video from 10 minutes to an hour if I have to sit here and do it, but I have plenty of things to do, and my time's already been delayed and running out because I want to do some research on this just to make this video to let people know. Do I think this video will get a lot of views? No, I don't. But at the same time, I do feel like this is an important message to not only relay at this particular time frame, but I do also feel like when it comes to this particular topic, it is something that I have an affinity to, therefore I'm going to express it as clearly and coherent as I possibly can. I feel like the other people on the show weren't able to express clearly as to why they could be white privileged. I just feel like they weren't able to get the message across. They should have brought in facts. They should have done some research prior. I'm not sure if the topic is thrown into their faces, but they should have done some research prior, spoken about in a level-headed, clear way for them to understand. But then at the same time, when you argue with people who are completely ignorant, it can be difficult as well. So I do understand from that premise. 1 in every 3 black males born today can expect to go to prison at some point in their life, compared to 1 in every 6 Latinos and 1 in every 17 white males if current incarceration trends continue. These are from reports of the staggering racial disparities. I'm going to link all of these in my description box below. One that says that the most widely publicised example of racial profiling in recent times is the stop and frisk tactic. The stop and frisk tactic. And put by the NYPD. African Americans constitute 25% and Hispanic Americans constitute 29% of New York's population. Yet, between 2010 and 2012, 52% of those stopped by the NYPD during stop and frisk were black and 32% were Hispanic. The white New Yorkers are 44% of the city's population, yet only 9% of those stopped were white. So that in itself is a bit interesting. The white New Yorkers make up 44% of that particular population, but only 9% of those were stopped. Now, all of these people, as far as I'm concerned, have made no crime because it's stop and frisk. You're stopping them, you're seeing them, you don't know what they've done. It's all about a subconscious association that you've made, and you quickly, you're frisking them straight away. More people are checked from different races as opposed to white people, such as Latinos, such as black people primarily, as it goes to white. Why is that? Because of the way they look. Therefore, there's a certain privilege to it, because you're not checked as much. Therefore, people have already made the affirmations in their head about particular people, which is not fair. That's another statistic, and there's plenty more in that particular article as well. There's plenty, millions of more stuff that I've seen as well. Even with this Vegas attack, this particular white man is not seen as a terrorist yet. Under the Nevada law, that's what it particularly says, that a terrorist is somebody who causes harm to multiple people. The Charlottesville attack, when that person ran over the Nazi white supremacists, ran over that person, an exact direct replication of the London Bridge attack that we have here, yet this person was not categorized as a terrorist in Charlottesville at all, yet the London Bridge person was as well. Don't piss me off. There's ignorance. Look into it. Otherwise, cut off communication with me, because I'm not here for nonsense. I'm not here for tiresome forms of subconscious forms of racism. I'm not entertaining it, not today, not tomorrow, not never. This topic in itself triggered me, and I feel like I have an affinity to it anyways, therefore I'm relaying it. Will I likely continue to review the show? I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I thought, number one, let me just review this topic because I have an affinity. Number two, let me know what you guys think about it, because I do see a few comments of people sending me to review it anyways, so there is some form of demand. This video was a bit long, but let me know what you guys think of it. Do you feel like there's white privilege? Do you feel like there's black privilege?
Done on an individual by individual basis, and not some arbitrary characteristic that you decide to divide the entire population into.
Do you feel like there is black privilege, whether it's Arab privilege or so forth, so there are plenty. It depends on the environment that you're in and how it can add to it. But let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on my Instagram and my website. Do you guys like that particular episode? Do you guys not? What irritated you? Did anything I say irritate you? But let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on my Instagram, as I've just said. Thank you guys for watching. Have a productive week, and I will most definitely catch you guys soon.